Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. This is Eric with Stellar Galaxy TCG, and you read it right. Is grass real? This is one of those age-old questions, with like, is the earth flat? Is there just like a giant dome around the world that, no, I'm just kidding. This video is basically just going to be talking about all the anger and stuff that's in the hobby. A lot of people are upset, rightfully, with the difficulty of getting things and the expensive nature of the hobby at this point. I mean, people are paying the prices, so we're not seeing anything anytime soon, but will Pokemon do anything about it? Should everybody just kind of relax and just take a break from the hobby? Because a lot of this will be here in a little bit. If you haven't been in the hobby like me for very long, all you can kind of go off of is what people have talked about, other YouTube channels and things. And a lot of them, I mean, have talked about how typically Pokemon will put sets in cycle around every 2 years. So it means that they'll continuously print the product, a variation of the product, the booster pack, whether it comes in like a collection box, a booster bundle, an ETB, all that kind of stuff. The variation requires, or not requires, it depends on what they do. And so basically, people that are upset about prismatic evolutions, I understand it's the hot new thing, right? Oh, not necessarily new; it's been out for a little bit, but people have wanted to get it. It's difficult to get. Obviously, we got booster bundles and stuff coming up soon. We got those UPCs that are popping up, and you're not gonna be able to get them. Realistically, for MSRP, unless you are super lucky and are able to find it in a retail location, as long as the prices for that product are as high as they are, MSRP does not equal what the market values each pack at. And so, with that, until they kind of equalize and people can't make the money on them, you're not going to be able to find them in retail. Unless you're able to catch a restock at some point. So if you just happen to be going in, you might have a chance, but it's a losing game because a lot of these scalpers and stuff, being somebody who works in the retail chain, is my primary job, not in the chain, but servicing chains. It's these people are there 24/7. They got people calling them about if something becomes available. They know the schedules for all the people that restock the Pokemon machines and all this kind of stuff. And so trying to play that game, unless you're lucky and you can get something from like Pokemon Center or Best Buy during one of their drops, hopefully they limit things in a little bit better way with setting up queues and stuff on their site. So hopefully you're able to get something that way. But if your goal is to try and find something out in the wild, you are going to be hard pressed to find anything. And so that brings me to the point, is this so-called grass that people are talking about real? I've walked out in the world. I don't see any grass out there. No, I do. It's one of those things where it sucks to say because you hate to hear, oh, you just need to take a break if you're getting upset about it. It doesn't make you feel any better about not being able to do it or enjoy the hobby that you have enjoyed for a long time. Or, maybe you do have kids that really enjoy the hobby and they want to get some of that stuff. It's like, yeah, it does really suck. And somebody telling you to just, you know, get over it is a little difficult to swallow. But I mean, unfortunately, that's just how these things work. Until Pokemon manages to get the printing under control and getting the supply out there to meet the demand, it's just going to be how it is. And that's something I've had to learn because, like I said, I was able to get into the hobby, like I believe around August of last year before things went crazy, before Surging Sparks. And you can find things pretty readily out there. All the vending machines had product. It wasn't difficult to find. But at this point, since I go into multiple stores all the time, I check, just walk by the vending machine, just kind of tap on it. Every once in a while, you'll find a Shrouded Fable product because people still don't quite want that one as much because there's not as much. Currently, there's not as much, margin you can make. You can't really make much on eBay and all that kind of stuff if you buy a Shrouded Fable ETB from a vending machine and try and flip it online. Like that one, you're gonna have to wait a while to get. So that's why you can still kind of find that product. And if every once in a while you'll find some Paradox Rift, some Temporal Forces packs, but all the good stuff, it's never there. And so at this point, I've kind of just accepted to the fact that I'm just not going to get any sealed product, at least for now. And for my business that I do, I primarily just sell on eBay currently. I mean, I plan on expanding in the future, but I've had to slow down and just kind of tame myself and kind of try and make this last as long. My goal is to be around here for a while, and I don't want to over leverage myself, and that's one thing that a lot of the bigger guys warn about. So I'm trying to slow everything down, and because of that, I've just stopped buying sealed product because I can't find it to begin with, and it's just not worth running around. It just doesn't yield, the results that you would want for, especially what I'm trying to do, shifting into a service business and do more grading and everything. Because I really enjoy the grading part. I like finding the cars. I like looking them over and grading them. And so, for me, I was making the stupid mistake of buying product, using it as an excuse to open it and grade whatever I could get out of there. Because typically, like maybe get one SIR and two IRs in there. And every once in a while, there'll be some like full art cards and stuff that are worth trying to do. But I was trying to find cards to grade through opening packs, and at that point, you send whatever you get because I can't just spend. At the time, it was $130 for a box of Paradox Rift. Get the two IRs. They're really not grade worthy, but it's like, well, I just spent that money. I got to send them in, and so my first few orders have been kind of like I've gotten enough positive ones to pay for all that, and so it wasn't, luckily for me, a negative loss, or I made a decent amount of money. But the newer ones that I've submitted and everything that are in the process of getting graded, despite that taking forever, I've been much more selective, and as much as it hurts to say no to certain cards, because I've been starting to do the evil thing of buyouts with no intention of buying out or pumping out the raw value card. I'll buy cheap cards. I'll buy 20, 30 of them, pick out the ones I want, and then grading them. And those will periodically show up on my eBay page, which is the channel name, which I should start putting the link in the description and all that kind of jazz. I'll work on that when I have more time. When you work full time, it makes it tough. But in the end, it really taught me, like, trying to run around and chase these sealed products at MSRP and everything is just, you gotta almost be able to dedicate full time, because make it a full time job, because the amount of time just between stores, like, it takes a couple hours just between drive time. You gotta jump out, you gotta go into the store. Not that it takes long in each store, but if you're going around 10, 20 of them a day, stuff adds up real fast, and it's just not one of those things that you can sustain. So if you enjoy this hobby and you're more of a collector, as much as everybody claims they're a collector, everybody just wants to find things that are worth money, that they can, even if they don't necessarily want to sell, they want it for, because other people want it, and it just, brings value. you know, this time sucks. It really does. If you're a true collector out there, it just really hurts to not be able to get things at an affordable price. And if the market does go down, then it's like, how long do I have to wait until these things are worth again? But then you're kind of more of an investor and less of a collector. But even then, it's just like, there's nothing out there. I'm not, there's nothing. There are some sets, Sword and Shield, when they have their little dips, might be something to buy into. Um, some of this older Scarlet and Violet stuff, like the likelihood of the first, approximately 4 sets, SV Base, Paldea, Paradox Rift, and oh my god, my brain just freaking farted. Obsidian Flames. Getting those 4 might be something to look into if they have like a small price drop, because, but even then, the prices are crazy now, and as much as everybody hates to hear it, taking a break from the hobby just might be something worth doing. If you happen to find something out in the wild when you're out there, great. But I wouldn't go through pulling your hair out trying to find these things. It's not worth it, man. It makes you hate the hobby. It's just one of those things where you start to just resent people. We see all these videos and stuff online for people, clearing out vending machines and stuff. And it's like, you can have the hate for all those people, but it's not against the law. It's not, anything that you shaming them is going to stop. As long as there's money in the hobby and there's money flipping those things, because it's very lucrative. You can go buy, booster bundles for $25 and sell them for, $60, $70. It's obviously after fees and shipping and everything, you're still making a ton of money. You're making double what you paid for it. And those kind of margins for that little amount of work, you got to do no advertising. There's already a freaking massive market for it. So it's not going to stop anytime soon until Pokemon either prints enough or the demand dies enough, which, who knows? Anything's possible with crypto struggling and, the market the way it is. Anything could happen. But it's one of those things where you just need to, take the advice as much as it pains to say. You can complain about it into the ether, into the echo chamber of all your like-minded friends, all these subreddits and stuff where people complain and they think that's the entire hobby, but it's like, dude, that's such a small part of the hobby. The Pokemon TCG and the Poke investing subreddits, those are so tiny in comparison to the hobby. It's the same thing that everybody learns, that their little echo chamber is not quite what the market shows, because you can go on TCG Player, people are paying these prices on the daily, and you just gotta let it go. The times will return when there will be product falling off the shelves, and will you put your money where your mouth is at the time? Because when nobody else wants it, will you still want it? Well, that's something to think about. So my question for you is grass even real? All right, we'll see you next time.